The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, a quick rankings and news update for you. So, quick housekeeping, roll through it as quickly as possible. 1, give the episode a like. 2, sub to the audio podcast wherever you can download podcasts. Monday show with Jake Sully, rankings debate, still very, very relevant. We talked through a lot of these Bell situations. I'll update those very soon. The Tuesday show with Dink and Leone on the DraftKings breakdown is up Friday. Full injury report and ownership breakdown with Jeff Ulrichen live on Sunday, 10 a.m. DraftKings YouTube channel. I'll be doing the show and taking your questions with Gary and Thornton with Tim Andacast. So it's going to be a lot of good times. You can catch that on demand after the show around like 11:30. It'll be up on the audio feed if you want that for Sunday morning as well. All the rankings as of right now are updated and in the description of this video. So let's get into this. Le'Veon, if you're looking for the Feinberg and Tim show, we've had like video problems with it. I'm still trying to resolve it. Up on the podcast feed though, so check it out up there. Just audio for now though. We'll try to get that resolved. Le'Veon Bell. He's holding out, and people are saying, hey, it could be 10 weeks. Now the offensive line is calling him out, so I've taken him out of the week 1 rankings and inserted not James Conner into his place, but now this is a spot where James Conner is going to move up the rankings. I have him now listed as the number 19 running back in PPR scoring. I feel like that's fair. We don't know exactly what the role is going to be. Historically, what we've seen from the Steelers offense, whether it even be like Fitzgerald Toussaint, who would come in and play when Bell got hurt and he was playing the playoff games, that they're going to lean on one guy. I think Jalen Samuels in deeper leagues, if you just want to pick him up to see what happens, that could be something, because even if when you look at James Conner's stats, he had no receptions last year on no targets. Now, is that because he can't catch? I would say it's probably more of a product of Le'Veon Bell being such a good receiver that why would you ever throw to James Conner? Of all in the pantheon of guys who can catch the ball on the Steelers, James Conner probably near the bottom of that list. Without Bell around, though, we know that they have specifically designed routes that maybe Conner won't replicate Bell with, so the reception total isn't going to be quite as high because he's not going to be split out wide as a receiver at times, but he should still get enough dump-offs to be relevant. It's going to be more than 0, so trust me on that. So I'm going to be a little bit pensive. I also acquiesced to Jake Seeley on this one, and the peoples out there. I had Royce Freeman ranked too low. I've come to my senses a little bit. So in the actual rankings right now, Jordan Howard remains number 7. Then we have, let's see here, number 17, sorry. Jamal Williams, 18. James Conner's 19. 20 Chris Carson, 21 Royce Freeman, 22 Kenyon Drake. So he's in the RB2 mix. He's someone that you can play. You might have better options, but we don't know. Maybe if you play in like a 20-team league, pick up Stephen Ridley too. Apparently he's still on the roster and still in the NFL. Big shocker on that one. But Conner looks like a guy that you're going to play. He's only $4,500 on DraftKings. Expect him to be super chalky and maybe take away, and at least alleviate some of the ownership that many expected to be on Rex Burkhead. So for week 1, that's where I'm going. If the Bell news changes, then I'll have an update. And you don't have to set your lineups till Sunday, so I wouldn't really worry about that too much. Now, if you haven't done your draft yet, where do you draft Le'Veon Bell? I would drop him down into that like Kenyon Drake territory, because I don't know if he's going to miss the 10 weeks or not. You might be shit out of luck, and this is what happens. And you miss him for 10 weeks, maybe the entire season. Because when the offensive line starts calling you out, and like every member of it, like basically calling you a coward for what you're doing, it works 2 ways. You might get bullied into coming back to work, which would be great for Bell owners, and then you get a supreme discount on the guy. But it might just make him be like, I don't want to do that. So I think that he's good enough, and the role is good enough that you still have to gamble. Now, if you're a very conservative drafter and you love a good floor and you don't want to take a risk, then pass on him. Just don't draft him. I mean, obviously, if you get to like the 9th round, obviously you'd take him because people are taking like Ingram there. But in terms of Le'Veon Bell, it's how much risk can you want? It's the same with the trade right now. Like, should you trade Leonard Fournette for Le'Veon Bell, knowing what we know at this moment? No, that's too much. That's a first round or swing pick running back for him. But if you started talking about like Kenyon Drake or Alex Collins and those guys, yeah, I'd be willing to gamble for the best player on fantasy in that. And if I lose him, then I lose him. But I was taking my shot to win. So I think that you do want to be somewhat aggressive with this, unless the news completely flips and then he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Hey, he still might get traded at this point. This is the problem when you deal with the situation. It's a lot like Ezekiel Elliott last year. It's like, will he be suspended? Won't he be suspended? It's all about your risk tolerance. If you want to go in on him, go in on him. If you want to pass, pass. But I wouldn't just give him up for peanuts. I saw someone already tweet at me the question, do I trade Le'Veon Bell for like Marvin Jones and Ty Montgomery? No. The answer is no to that question. If you're going to trade Le'Veon Bell, you got to get something in return or you're stuck with him. That's just the reality of the situation. Don't go selling him off at bargain basement prices and then all of a sudden he's starting for the Steelers in week 2. Then you're going to feel like a pretty giant fucking moron. So don't do that. You either have to inherit the risk or be willing to live with the consequences of taking Bell inside the top 3. And this was always a reality. No one thought it was going to happen. People said like 5%, 2%, but here we are. So again, unless news changes, James Conner inside the top 20 in terms of week 1 rankings. Bell is out, and that's just the way that we're going to look at it. Other stuff that's going on right now, New Orleans surprisingly cut Boston Scott. So Mike Gillislee is like the only other running back on the roster after Alvin Kamara. I've moved him up in the week 1 rankings. He is now at number 36. I don't know if he's necessarily going to have the Mark Ingram role and maybe get goal line carries, but 10 touches, potentially some very valuable ones, maybe more because they're 9.5 point favorites in this game, but it just seems like more of a boom for Kamara, a nice showcase for Kamara. And if Tampa can keep it relatively close, I mean like within 2 touchdowns, I don't see a reason for Kamara to come out of the game for Gillislee unless it's just to spell him. But it is a decent opportunity, so that's ahead of guys like Alfred Morris, who I just think is in a bad spot this week. Don't mind Morris long-term, just not this week. Powell, Ty Montgomery, Austin Eckler, Theo Riddick, Tariq Cohen, LeGarrette Blount. Like, you're basically playing a really good offense behind a really good offensive line against a weak opponent with the potential for touchdowns. We don't know how many touches he's going to get or what that role is necessarily going to be, but I like the gamble on that if you need a standard league flex play somewhere down there. If that's your only option, he's widely available, so you can go pick him up. Other stuff to make note of right now, Rex Burkhead was taken off the injury report. That's always good news, especially for a lot of my teams, because I think I own Rex Burkhead on every single team. Sony Michel is reportedly behind we're not sure whether he's going to play or not. Right now, I would bank on him not playing week 1, which would be great for Rex Burkhead. I would still like Burkhead over Connor week 1, especially in PPR. If that was the case standard, it's a bit closer. PPR, for sure Rex. On DraftKings, for sure Rex if Sony Michel sits, because he's going to get all the goal line touches. It's not going to be James White in that situation unless they're like on the end of the half or in some sort of 2-minute drill where they just can't get him off the field to put Burkhead in. And hell, we might see both of them play at the same time anyway. So if Michel doesn't play, and again, on Friday, we should have more conclusive news on this. That's why the full injury report is coming at that time. Other Steelers news, Vance McDonald has been limited in practice with his foot injury. It doesn't look like he's going to play. Potentially a streamer for Jesse James if you need him. There's probably better options because a lot of the tight ends seem like they're going to be okay. For example, Delaney Walker off the injury report. Jordan Reed is off the injury report, giving him 3 days to, I don't know, walk into a wall and get a concussion or something. Because I think this is the first time I haven't seen Jordan Reed on an injury report in a good 4 years. Great play this week, by the way, against Arizona, if he actually is fully healthy. I wonder if he can make it through an entire game without getting hurt. But it's a great gamble on Jordan Reed. If you took it, he was going very late. And you know that he's going to be a tight end 1 anytime that he is healthy. So kudos on that. Other guys, Austin Seferian-Jenkins is now not expected to play with an ab issue, so you probably weren't playing him anyway, but if you were trying to stream him or playing him on DraftKings, that probably makes better news for someone like Dede Westbrook, because it was already come out that the Jags are starting Keelan Cole and Dante Moncrief. Now, obviously that could change after the first play, but if Jenkins isn't there, it's between hey, do we need Ben Koyak to block? Maybe, or we can just play Dede Westbrook potentially in the slot and cover that. So Dede should be on the field. I'm not too worried about him. Not a good play by any means, but if you need someone, you don't have to say, well, I can't play Dede, he's not going to play. I would still expect him to play 65 to 75% of the snaps. Thursday night game, no Elshon, no Wentz, but Jay Ajayi was taken off the injury report. I still have him in the 30 range of week 1 running backs. I just don't trust Jay Ajayi. He has that knee-on-knee stuff. He's already been banged up through the preseason. I don't know how good this Eagles offensive line is going to gel right away, or how good the offense is going to be with Nick Foles week 1 now that people have tape. But it could be excellent. Ajayi could be a boom play. I just wasn't very big on him anyway. It's more of the split that concerns me, because Doug Peterson likes, a very sensible person, to mix it up in the backfield. We're going to get Sproles, we're going to get Clement, and we're going to get Ajayi. Ajayi will likely have the more valuable of the touches, but how many is he going to get? If they fall behind in this game, do we see Sproles on the field the entire time, or Clement? There's always these game flow situations we have to watch out with Jay Ajayi that I just don't want to take the risk week 1. You should have better options than that. Other stuff, Will Fuller is practicing with his hamstring injury. Josh Gordon says with his hamstring, he is 100%. And then Hugh Jackson said he's still going to be on a pitch count. So if he's 100% and he's on a pitch count, Hugh Jackson's just a moron and probably deserves to be fired. But we'll see which one is lying, which one is not. I'm not going to take that gamble on Gordon. Feel free to. I just find myself that on the one team that I have Gordon on, he went so late that just I ended up with him. I wasn't going out of my way to target him in drafts. That I have 2 better options or I have 3 better options or someone I just feel more comfortable with in terms of floor. If you want to play him, go nuts. I think that he's a big discrepancy between floor and ceiling this week. If you are an underdog in your matchup, maybe play Gordon and hope he goes off. If you're a favorite, maybe play someone who's just going to get you 12 points, and that's all you need to go through. A lot of these rankings and a lot of these head-to-head situations depend on your team. I think that people don't put that context into it very often. If you're playing the best team in the league, you need to swing for the fences. You need to take your biggest shots possible with a potential 30-point guy. But you have to remember, he's also the guy that might get 2 points out of that too. He's not going to be the steady Eddie 12 to 15 points or 8 to 12 points and be on your way. And the best team is your worst guy. That's all you need kind of thing. Marlon Mack missed practice on Wednesday with his hamstring problem. Probably not going to play for Indianapolis. Jordan Wilkins will draw the start if that's the case. He's less than $4,000 on DraftKings in week 1. Like James White is $4,000. I actually like that. I like Burkhead and James Conner a lot more. Peyton Barber and Chris Carson are down in that mix as well, along with Royce Freeman. All good plays. But if you want to go lower, that's the guy right there, Jordan Wilkins, if you really need the savings in your salary cap. And I think that he's a pretty decent week 1 play, too, as a flex starter in your running back position. Almost like Jay Ajayi, he can be written out of this a little bit, and we don't know how the distribution's going to work. But I think that's a very worthy gamble. And finally, Devontae Parker and his Fing will probably not play in week 1. That's how I had it listed in my rankings to begin with, so nothing will change from that front. Stills, great play. Danny Amendola in PPR, pretty good play. And then Albert Wilson, all right play. I'm not playing Albert Wilson, so maybe I'm wrong on that. I just think that where Amendola is healthy right now, just put him in the slot. He'll run around and get like 15 targets and potentially be like the minor league version of that Jarvis Landry role. Then he's still someone, if you're still drafting, he's going like the last round. So for PPR purposes, he's someone that could be quite valuable. Even in a DraftKings cash game, he's in the low 4,000s. People are going to like John Ross and John Brown, guys with potential upside, for sure. Way more than Danny Amendola. Big 0 potential on the board for these guys too. So that's something to look at. That'll do it on the mini version of the Pat Mayo Experience. We'll be back Friday with a full injury update for the NFL, the rankings adjustment, and recap of the Thursday night game, plus all the DK ownership projections. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, DraftKings YouTube channel, live show, and taking your questions over that time. Hit me up on Twitter in between. I should be available from around 7 to lock on Thursday. If you have any specific questions, try to make them Thursday related, if anything else, because we do have an extra 3 days. Like, what about Marlon Mack? It's like, well, we're not going to know until Friday, basically, what's going on. Why are you asking me on a Thursday? I can't possibly know that. And even when I do know, I always make the wrong choice anyway. So, what are you asking me for? Either way, thank you all for tuning in. Again, that Jeff and Cuss show up on the audio version, not the video version right now. So go check that out. I am working on that. And all the updated rankings are in the description. Thank you all for watching. Give it a like. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!